First up, it's Subaru, and when it comes to looking at performance saloon cars, there's no better heritage than Subaru. After all those years of winning world rally titles speaks for itself. Well, for a genuine high-performance car with genuine everyday practicality that won't cost you the price of a house, we'll look no further than the Subaru Impreza. Looks-wise, the Impreza is certainly not shy, with its curvaceous lines being dominated by the large rear spoiler, front splitter and huge air intake, which are necessary to feed the air into the Subaru's turbocharger. It also sits on large alloys and low-profile tyres to give optimum cornering performance. On the inside, the Subaru is much more functional than stylish, with a sport steering wheel, clear rev counter and speedo, and the fabulous rally seats which really hold you firmly in place and are actually very comfortable. Now, although this latest Impreza still shouts attitude, it's a lot less aggressive to look at than the model it replaced. But don't be fooled by any of that. This is still very much a rally car at heart. Now, of the three cars we're testing today, this is the one I was most excited about. I've heard so much about it, and with its rally heritage, well, you know that it's not going to be a dull ride. Now, when you first set off in the Impreza, you may not see what all the fuss is about when you're driving around town. But take it over 3,000 and suddenly all hell breaks loose. And it's no wonder, because this thing does 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds and handles like a dream. The way that the Impreza uses its power is quite incredible. Four-wheel drive, there's absolutely no need for traction control here. And it's no surprise that this does 0 to 60 at only 218 brake horsepower, but it still does it in 5.7 seconds every time. The cornering in this car is quite incredible. I'm going faster than I normally would into a corner, but it just grips like nobody's business, and there's absolutely no roll, both in and out. Now, it's very grippy and very solid, and it may not be to everybody's taste every time, but if that's what you're into, well, you've found the right car. But one thing that is disappointing about the Subaru is that all the attention is on the performance, and maybe that's purposeful, but really there should have been a little bit more attention given to the interior looks of this car and to a certain extent the exterior. It really isn't that stylish, and I have to say from the inside it's downright disappointing and typically plastically Japanese. I do like the racing styling of the Momo steering wheel and of course the bucket seats, which actually are nice and comfortable. They've padded those out so they're not a real rough ride. But that's about as far as I go in terms of the interior styling, which are anything to write home about. Now, throughout the Car File series, we've had a lot of performance cars that don't quite sound as good as they probably should do. Subaru certainly does, with that Boxer engine, really give you that full growling sound. Now, when you've got all that performance under the bonnet, you need brakes. And this has got them in spades. Out of the corner and away you go, but you have no fear that this thing could stop on a dime. So the Impreza may look less intimidating than it used to, but it still drives like a demon. The engine not only makes a great sound, but once the turbocharger kicks in, it pulls incredibly hard too. And we'll get to 60 in 5.7 seconds, topping out at just under 140 miles an hour. The most impressive aspect of the car, though, has to be the way it takes corners. You can see now why this car is so good on the rally circuit. And as for practicality, well, you don't get this kind of space in the boot of a Porsche. Now, I know what you're thinking. There must be a downside to this car. Well, there is. Costs, fuel costs, insurance group of 19 and servicing costs are much higher than in a regular saloon.